शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नामश्रेष्ठं मनमपि शचिपुत्रमत्र स्वरूपं रूपं तस्याग्रजमुरुपुरीं माधुरीं गोष्ठवाटीं राधाकुण्डं गिरिवरमहोराधिका माधवाशा प्राप्तो यस्य प्रथितकृपया श्रीगुरुं तं नतोऽस्मि। नमस्ते गुरुदेवाय सर्वसिद्धिप्रदायिने सर्वमंगलरूपाय सर्वानंदविदायिने नमः। First of all, offer my millions obeisances to the lotus feet of Asmadya Guru Pad Padma, Nikla Pravishta, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivrajika Acharya Varya Ashtotar Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and also offer obeisances to the lotus feet of Kirandi Sannyasi, Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Dandi Maharaj Ji, Naam Nishta Sant Shri Aniruddhas Prabhu Ji, and all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavas who are gathered here for Jaiva Dharma class. We accept my humble obeisances. So, Jaiva Dharma is the sum total of all the books in the world. So, we are reading now from Jaiva Dharma. As you can see, page number 169. I downloaded this PDF from reading online. Bhakti that is imbued with such characteristics is first found in the sadhana practices of a Madhyam Vaishnava. And it extends up to the stages of Bhav and Prem. The only characteristic in the bhakti of the Kanishta is that of service to the deity with faith. So Kanishtadikari, he serves the deity with faith. Such a person does not have the characteristics of Unnata Bhakti, Uttama Bhakti, namely Anya Vilasita Shunyam, freedom from ulterior desires, Jnana Karma Dhyanavritam, freedom from the coverings of impersonal knowledge and fruitive action, and Anukullena Krishna Anashilana, consummate desire to serve Krishna in a favorable mood. So you'll see that here, a Karishta is considered to have become a Madhyam Vaishnava and a genuine Bhakta when Bhakti with these symptoms manifest in his heart. Prior to this stage, he is like a Prakrut Bhakta, which means that he is only a semblance of a Bhakta, Bhakta Abhas, or a semblance of a Vaishnava, Vaishnava Abhas. The word Krishnanushilan refers to prem, love for Krishna, and it is qualified by the word Anukullena. This refers to those things that are favorable to Krishna prem, namely friendship with the Bhaktas, mercy towards ignorant, and neglect of those who are inimical. These three items are all symptoms of a Madhyam Vaishnava. The second characteristic of a Madhyam Vaishnava is his friendship towards Bhaktas, in whose hearts Shuddha Bhakti has appeared, and who are submissive to Bhagavan's will. Kanishta Bhaktas are not Shuddha Bhaktas, fully submissive to Bhagavan, and they do not offer respect or hospitality to Shuddha Bhaktas. Therefore, Madhyam and Uttam Bhaktas are the only suitable people with whom to develop intimate friendships. In 3 successive years, the Bhaktas of Kulinagram asked Sriman Mahaprabhu, what is a Vaishnava and what are the symptoms by which he can be recognized? Sriman Mahaprabhu replied by instructing them about Uttam, Madhyam and Kanishta Vaishnava. Of his description, all 3 of those classes, as he described them, the standards that I have defined for Madhyam and Uttam Vaishnavas. None of them correspond to the Kanishta Bhaktas, who are only capable of worshipping the deity form because they do not utter Shuddha Krishna Nam. Their chanting is known as Chayanamabhas. Chayanamabhas refers to a semblance of the pure name obscured by ignorance and anarthas, like the sun covered by clouds, which does not manifest its full brilliance. Mahaprabhu instructed the Madhyamari Grihastha Vaishnavas to serve the 3 kinds of Vaishnavas, which he described as follows. One from whose mouth Krishna Nam is heard even once, one from whose mouth Krishna Nam is heard constantly, and one whose every sight spontaneously, one whose very sight spontaneously evokes the chanting of Shri Krishna Nam. All these 3 types of Vaishnavas are worthy of service. This is not true of one who only utters Namabhas and not Shuddha Krishna. Because Vaishnavas who utter Shuddhanam are worthy of service. We are instructed to serve the Vaishnavas in accordance with their respective level of advancement. The word Maitri signifies association, conversation, and service. As soon as one sees a pure Vaishnava, one should receive him respectfully, converse with him, fulfill his needs as far as one is able. One should serve him in all these ways, and one should never envy him. One should not criticize him, even by accident or disrespect him. Even if his appearance is not, if his appearance is unattractive, or if he has some disease. The third characteristic of the Madhya Vaishnava is that he bestows mercy on the ignorant. The word Balish refers to people who are ignorant of spiritual truth, bewildered or foolish. It means materialistic people who have not received any genuine guidance in spiritual matters, but have not been contaminated by unauthorized doctrines such as Mayavad. They are not envious of bhaktas and bhakti, but their mundane egoism and attachment prevents them from developing faith in Ishvara. Learned scholars also belong in this category if they have not attained the highest fruit of study, which is develop faith in Ishvara. So Kanishtadhikari Prakrut Bhakta is standing at the doorway to the temple of Bhakti. But because of ignorance in principles of Sambandhya, he has not yet attained Shuddha Bhakti. Such a person is also regarded as Balish until he comes to the platform of Shuddha Bhakti. When he becomes acquainted with the truth of Sambandha Gyan and awakens taste for Shuddha Harinam in the association of pure bhaktas, his ignorance will be dissipated and he will attain the status of a Madhyam Vaishnava. It is essential that a Madhyam Vaishnava should bestow his mercy upon all the above mentioned ignorant people. He should treat them as guests and should satisfy their needs as far as he is able. But that is not enough in itself. He should also act in such a way as to awaken their faith in Anya Bhakti and their taste for Shuddhanam. That is the real meaning of mercy. The ignorant may be victimized by bad association and may fall down at any time because they lack expertise in the Shastras. The Madhyam Vaishnava should always protect such susceptible people from bad association. He should mercifully give them his association and gradually instruct them in spiritual matters and in the glories of Shuddhanam. A deceased person must be under the care of a physician because he cannot cure himself. Just as one should pardon the anger of a deceased person, so one should also excuse the improper behavior of the ignorant. This attitude is known as mercy. The ignorant have many misconceptions, such as faith in karma kanda, occasional inclination towards jnana, worshipping the deity with ulterior motives, faith in yoga, indifference towards the association of pure Vaishnavas, attachment to Varnashram, and many other things. However, the Kanishtadhikari can quickly become a Madhyamadhikari when these misconceptions are dispelled by good association, mercy, and good instructions. When such people begin to worship the deity of Bhagavan, it may be understood that they have laid the foundation of all auspiciousness. Of this, there is no doubt. They do not have the defect of adhering to false doctrines, and for this reason, they have a scent of true Shraddha. Their deity worship is not like that of the Mayavadis, who do not have even a trace of Shraddha for the deity, who are offenders at the lotus feet of Bhagavan. That is why the word Shraddhaya, Yate, he worships with faith, have been used in the shloka 11 canto, 2nd chapter, 47th verse that describes the Kanishta Bhakta. The philosophical outlook lodged in the heart of Mayavadis and proponents of other similar doctrines is that Bhagavan has no form and that the deity which is worshipped is simply an imaginary icon. Under such circumstances, how can there be any faith in the deity? As a result, there is a significant difference between the deity worship of Mayavadis and that of even of the most neophyte Vaishnavas. Kanishtadhikari Vaishnavas worship the deity with faith, knowing that Bhagavan possesses personal form and attributes. Mayavadis, however, believe that Bhagavan has no form or attributes, and that the deity is therefore imaginary and temporary. Neophytes are not guilty of the offense of Mayavad, and that is why they are accepted as Prakrut Vaishnavas, materialistic devotees, even though they do not possess any other Vaishnava characteristics. Mm. This is where their Vaishnavism is found. On the other hand, on the strength of this one quality and by the mercy of sadhus, they will certainly gradually be elevated. Madhyamadhikari Vaishnavas must be genuinely merciful towards such people. And if they are, the neophyte bhakta's worship of the deity and his chanting of Harinam will quickly rise from the Abha stage to the purely transcendental stage. The Madhyam Vaishnava's fourth characteristic is neglect towards those who are inimical. Here we must define enmity and describe its different types. Dvesha, enmity is a particular attitude which is also known as Matsarata, envy, and which is exactly the opposite of love. Ishwar is the only object of love, and Dvesha is the attitude that is directly opposite to love for Krishna, for him. There are five different types of Dvesha. Number one, absence of faith in Ishvara. Number two, the belief that Ishvara is nothing more than a natural potency that brings about the results of all action. The belief that Ishvara has no particular form. Number four, the belief that the jivas are not eternally subordinate to Ishvara. And number five, the absence of mercy. Individuals whose hearts are contaminated by these inimical attitudes are absolutely bereft of Shuddha Bhakti. They do not even have Prakrut Bhakti, the rudimentary devotion that is the doorway to Shuddha Bhakti, and which is represented by the neophyte bhakta's worship of the deity. The five types of enmity are found to coexist with attachment to material sentiment. Sometimes the third and fourth types of enmity lead to such an extreme form of asceticism or aversion towards the world that it culminates in self-annihilation. This is seen in the lives of Mayavad sannyasis. How should the bhaktas behave towards such inimical people? It is their duty to avoid them. The word upeksha, neglect, does not imply that one should abandon all social dealings that are normal between human beings. Nor does it mean that one should fail to elevate an inimical person's difficulty or deprivation if he falls into distress. Grasta Vaishnavas remain within society, so they have many types of relationships. For instance, with relatives through marriage and with others through business dealings, through the maintenance of property and bringing up of animals, through endeavoring to mitigate the suffering and ailments of um, others, and through their position as citizens of the state. These different social relations entail connection with inimical people, and avoidance does not mean that one should at once give them up. One is obliged to conduct routine affairs and interact with people who are indifferent to Ishvara. But one should not take their association when it comes to spiritual matters. Some members of one's own family may acquire a malicious nature as a result of their sinful activities from a previous life. Should one abandon such people? Certainly not. One should deal with them without attachment insofar as ordinary affairs are concerned. But one should not associate with them for spiritual matters. Upeksha should be applied in this regard. Spiritual advancement. Spiritual association means to meet together for the purpose of spiritual advancement, to discuss topics of eternal truth, and to render reciprocal service and welfare that awakens one's devotional sentiments. Upeksha means avoiding the association of people who, with whom we such types of exchange are not possible. When an inimical person who has adopted discordant or inconsistent opinions hears glorification of Shuddha Bhakti or virtuous instructions regarding Bhakti, he will immediately retort with some futile argument which is not beneficial for you or for him. One should avoid such fruitless arguments and interact with such people only as far as necessary in routine social dealings. One may think that one should include inimical people among the ignorant, therefore bestow mercy upon them. But one does so, if one does so, one will not help them and will only harm oneself. One should be benevolent but with caution. Madhyamadhikari Shuddha Bhaktas should certainly follow these four instructions. If they are if they neglect to do so in any way, they become guilty of behaving improperly and thus fail to do that for which they are qualified. This is considered a serious defect as explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.21.2. स्वे स्वे अधिकारी अनिष्ठा सा गुण हरि स गुण परिकीर्तितः विपर्यस्तु दोषस्यात् उभयोर एष निश्चय. To be formally established in the duties one is authorized to perform is a good quality, whereas failure to do so is a fault. Good qualities and faults are ascertained in this way. In other words, good qualities and faults are determined according to one's eligibility, not by any other criteria. According to the Shastras, the Madhyam Adhikari Shuddha Bhakta should develop prema for Krishna and friendship with his pure bhaktas. He should be merciful to the ignorant and should neglect those who are inimical. The degree of friendship that the Madhyam Bhakta establishes with other bhaktas should be should be in keeping with the degree of their advancement in bhakti. The degree of mercy that he bestows upon the ignorant depends on the degree of sincerity and foolishness. And the extent to which he neglects the inimical depends on the degree of enmity. The Madhyam Bhakta considers all these things as he interacts with others in spiritual affairs. Daily affairs should be conducted in a straightforward manner, but should always be performed with consideration of the ultimate spiritual benefit. Just then, a resident of Parakachi named Nityananda Das interrupted by saying, "What is the behavior of Uttam Bhaktas?" Hmm. Slightly startled, Babaji Maharaj said, "Brother, you asked a question that I am just in the process of answering. Let me finish what I have to say. I'm an old man and my memory is fading. If the subject matter changes too abruptly, I'll forget what I was going to say." Hardas was a strict Babaji. Again, although he never found fault with anyone, he was quick to respond when anyone spoke inappropriately. Everyone was stunned to hear his words. Again, he offered pranam to Nityananda Prabhu at the foot of the banyan tree and resumed speaking. Babaji, when the bhakti of the Madhyam Vaishnava progresses beyond the stages of sadhana and bhava and comes to the level of prema, it becomes highly condensed. And at that time, the Vaishnava becomes an Uttam Adhikari, Uttam Bhakta. Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 2nd chapter, 45th verse. Describes Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.45 describes the symptoms of an Uttam Vaishnava as follows. Sarvabhuteshu yah paschet bhagavadbhavamatmana bhutani bhagavatyatmani bhagavato. One who sees his own Bhagavad Bhakti ecstatic mood of attraction towards Sri Krishna Chandra in the hearts of all jivas, Sarva Bhuteshu, and sees all beings within Sri Krishna Chandra, is an Uttam Bhagavata. An Uttam Vaishnava pursues that all living beings love Bhagavan with the same spiritual feeling of transcendental love that he himself cherished towards his Ishtadev. He also perceives that Bhagavan feels a reciprocal attitude of love towards all living beings. An Uttam Vaishnava has no disposition other than the mood of transcendental love. Other moods arise from time to time according to different circumstances, but they are all transformed of that prema, transformations of all that prema. For example, Shukdev Goswami was an Uttam Bhagavat, but he described Kamsa in words such as Bhoja Pamshula, a disgrace to the Bhoja dynasty. Although it is, although it appears as if these words were spoken out of enmity towards Kamsa, they are actually a manifestation of prema towards Krishna. When Shuddha Prem becomes the very life of a bhakta, he is known as an Uttam Bhagavat. In this condition, there is no longer any distinction between love, friendship, mercy, and neglect. As is the case with Madhyamadikari, all his behavior becomes a manifestation of prema. There is no difference between his eyes between the in his eyes between Kanishta Madhyam or an Uttam Vaishnava. Nor is there any difference between a Vaishnava and a non-Vaishnava. This advanced condition is extremely rare. Just consider how that Kanishta Vaishnava does not render service to Vaishnavas, and an Uttam Vaishnava does not make any distinction between Vaishnavas and non-Vaishnavas. For he sees all jivas as servants of Krishna. This means that only Madhyam Vaishnavas offer respect to Vaishnavas and render service to them. A Madhyam Vaishnava must serve the three kinds of Vaishnavas. Number one, those who chant Krishna Nam even once, those who chant Krishna Nam constantly, and those whose mere sight automatically causes Krishna Nam to dance on one's tongue. A Vaishnava may be considered a Vaishnava, a superior Vaishnava or a superlative Vaishnava according to his degree of advancement. A Madhyam Bhakta should serve Bhagavan according to their studies. Only Uttam Vaishnava will conclude that it is improper to consider whether a Vaishnava is Kanishta, Madhyam or Uttam. It is a Madhyam Adhikari Vaishnava thinks in this way. He will become an offender. Shivan Mahaprabhu indicated that indicated this to the residents of Kulinagram. And his instructions are to be revered even more than the Vedas by all Madhyam Vaishnavas. And what are the Vedas or Shruti? They are the orders of Parameshwara. Having said this much, Haridas Babaji became silent for a moment. At that time, Nityananda Das Babaji of Baragaji folded his hands and said, "May I ask a question now?" Haridas Babaji, as it pleases you. Babaji Mahashaya, to which category of Vaishnavas do you think I belong? Am I a Kanishta or a Madhyam Vaishnava? I am not certain. I am certainly not an Uttam Vaishnava. Haridas Babaji Mahashaya smiled a little and said, "Brother, can one who has received the name Nityananda Das to be anything other than an Uttam Vaishnava? My Nita is very merciful. Even when he is bitten, he gives prema in return. So if one takes his name and becomes his Das, need anything more, he said, Nityananda Das. I sincerely want to know my actual origin, Babaji. Then tell me your whole story. If Nitai empowers me to speak, I shall say something. Nityananda Das. I took birth in a low caste family in a small village on the bank of the Padmavati River. I was very simple and humble by nature from childhood, and I always used to stay far away from bad company. I was married at an early age, but after some days, my parents died, and my wife and I remained alone in the home. We did not have so much wealth, so we worked every day to maintain ourselves. Our days passed happily in this way, but this happiness did not last for long. But after a while, mm, our days passed happily in this way, but this happiness did not last for a long time. For after a while, she also left her body. Because of my separation from her, thoughts of detachment awakened in my mind. Near my village were many Vaishnavas who had renounced household life, and I saw that people of Paragachi offered them great respect. I hankered for that respect very strongly, and because of the temporary feelings of detachment brought on by the death of my wife, I went to Paragachi and accepted the dress of a Vaishnava mendicant. However, after a few days, my mind became fickle and it was possessed by wicked thoughts. And it became very difficult for me to control. But by great fortune, I received the association of an exalted Vaishnava who is pure and simple. At present, he is performing bhajan in Vraja with deep affection, and he gave me profound advice. Kept me in his association, kept me in his association and purified my mind. Now my mind is no longer disturbed by mischievous thoughts. I have decided, I have developed taste for chanting 100,000 names of Harinam every day. I understand that there is no difference between Sri Hari and Sri Nam, and that both are fully spiritual. I observe the Ekadashi fast according to Shastras and offer water to Tulsi. When the Vaishnavas perform Kirtan, I also join with rapt attention. I drink the water that washes the feet of a pure Vaishnavas. I study the Bhakti Shastras every day. I no longer desire Bhakti base. I no longer desire to eat palatable foods or dress nicely. I have no taste to hear or participate in mundane talks. When I see the Vaishnavas ecstatic moods, a desire comes into my mind to roll on the ground at their feet. Sometimes I do so, but it is out of a desire for prestige. Please give your verdict. To which class of Vaishnava do I belong, and how should I behave? Hardas Babaji looked at Vaishnadas Babaji with a smile and said, "Tell us, to which class of Vaishnava does Nityananda Das belong?" Vaishnadas, from what I had heard, he has surpassed the Kanishta stage and has entered the Madhyam stage. Babaji, that is my feeling also. Nityananda Das, how wonderful. Today I have come to know of my true position from the mouth of Vaishnavas. Please bestow your mercy upon me so that I may gradually come to the stage of an Uttama Vaishnava. Vaishnadas, at the time that you accepted mendicancy, there was a desire for honor and prestige in your heart. So you were not actually qualified to enter the renounced order, and therefore your acceptance of mendicancy was tainted with the flow of unauthorized consideration. In spite of this, you have attained genuine auspiciousness by the mercy of the Vaishnavas. Nityanandas. Even now, I have some desire for honor. I think that I may attract others and win tremendous respect if I am seen weeping profusely and displaying ecstatic emotions. Babaji, you must endeavor to give this up. Otherwise, there is a serious danger that your bhakti will be eroded and you will have to descend to the Karishta platform again. Although the six enemies of lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, and illusion may have departed, the desire for honor remains. This desire for fame is the most pernicious enemy of the Vaishnavas, and it does not easily agree to leave the sadhakas. Moreover, a single drop of genuine spiritual emotion is far superior to an imitative display of emotion. Chaya bhav avas. People, give me your mercy. Please give me your mercy, said Nityananda Das, and reverentially placed the dust from Haridas Babaji's lotus feet on his own head. At this, Babaji became unsettled. He quickly got up, embraced Nityananda Das, seated him by his side, and patted him on the back. How extraordinary is the effect of touching a Vaishnava! Tears immediately began to stream from Nityananda Das' eyes, and Haridas Babaji could not check his own tears, although he tried to do so. A wonderful atmosphere was manifest, and tears came to the eyes of all the assembled Vaishnavas. At that moment, Nityananda Das accepted Sri Haridas in his heart as his guru, and his family became successful. Within a short time, the emotion subsided and he inquired, what are the primary and secondary characteristics of a Karishta Bhakta in regard to bhakti? Babaji. The two primary characteristics of a Kanishta Vaishnava are his faith in the eternal form of Bhagavan and his worship of the deity. His secondary characteristics are the devotional activities that he performs as hearing, chanting, remembering, and offering prayers. Nityandas. One cannot be a Vaishnava unless he has faith in the eternal form of Bhagavan and worships the deity according to the regulations of Shastra. So I can well understand why these two are primary symptoms. However, I cannot understand why hearing, chanting, and remembering and others such activities are secondary. The Kanishta Vaishnava is not acquired, is not acquainted with the intrinsic nature of Shuddha Bhakti, of which hearing, chanting, and so on are Anga's limbs. Consequently, his hearing and chanting do not assume their primary identity but are manifest in a Gauna form, secondary form. Fortunately, furthermore, whatever arises from the three gunas, sattva, goodness, raja, passion, and tamaha, ignorance, is known as gauna. When these activities become nirguna, free from the influence of material modes, they are angas of Shuddha Bhakti, and one has attained the Madhya stage. Nityananda Das. How can the Kanishta Vaishnava be called a Bhakta when he continues with cult of and his heart is filled with desires for things other than bhakti? One becomes eligible for bhakti once he has attained Shuddha, which is the root of bhakti. There is no doubt then that he is situated at the doorway to bhakti. Word Shraddha means Vishwas, belief. When the Kanishta Bhakta awakens belief in the divine deity, he becomes eligible for bhakti. So Nityananda Das is asking question. When will he obtain bhakti? Babaji. The Kanishta Bhakta becomes a Shuddha Bhakta at the Madhyam level when his contamination of karma and jnana is dissipated. And he desires nothing other than Ananya Bhakti, exclusive Bhakti. At that point, he understands that there is a difference between service to guest and service to bhaktas, and thus he awakens taste for serving the bhaktas, which is favorable to bhakti. Nityananda Das. Shuddha Bhakti appears along with Sambandha Gyan. When is that knowledge of when is that knowledge awakened by which one becomes eligible for Shuddha Bhakti? Babaji. True Sambandha Gyan and Shuddha Bhakti are manifest simultaneously when knowledge contaminated by Mayavad conceptions has been dispelled. Nityananda Das. How long does that take? Babaji. The stronger a person's sukruti from past activities, the sooner he will attain it. Nityanas. What is the first result attained by past sukruti? Babaji, one attains sadhu sangha. Nityandas. And what is the progression that evolves from sadhu sangha? Babaji. Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, 25th chapter, 25th verse describes the systematic evolution of bhakti is very evolution of bhakti very secondly. Satam prasangan mama vidya samvido bhavanti natkaran rasayana katha tajoshradaasha pavargavartmani shraddharatir bhakti arakvishyati. In the association of Shuddha Bhaktas, the recitation and discussion of my glorious activities and pastimes are pleasing to both the heart and the earth, the heart and the ears. By cultivating knowledge in this way, one becomes established on the path of liberation and progressively attains Shraddha, then Bhava, and finally Prema Bhakti. Nityananda Das. How does one attain Sadhu Sangha? Babaji. I have already said that Sadhu Sangha is attained by Sukruti acquired in previous births. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 10 Canto 51st chapter 53rd verse. Bhava Pupargo Brahmato Yada Bhavet Janasa Tarhi Achyut Samagamaha Satsangayarhitaiva Sabgato Paravareshe Dvai Jayate Ratihi. Achyuta, the Jiva has been wandering in the cycle of birth and death since time without beginning. When the time for his release from this cycle approaches, he obtains satsanga. From that moment, he becomes firmly attached to who are the controller of both spirit and matter, and the supreme goal of attainment for the sadhus, Nityanandas. It is only by sadhu sangha that a Kanishta Bhakta awakens an inclination for worshipping the deity. So how can it be said that he doesn't render any service to Shraddha, to sadhus? Babaji. When one obtains sadhu sangha by good fortune, Vishwas or belief in the divinity of the deity awakens. Nonetheless, worship of the deity must be accompanied by service to the sadhus themselves. Until this type of faith develops, one's Shraddha is incomplete and one remains ineligible for Ananya Bhakti. Nityandas. What are the stages of progress for a Kanishta Bhakta? Babaji. Suppose that a Kanishta Bhakta worships the deity form of Bhagavan every day with faith, but is not yet free from the contamination of karma, jnana, and exertion, desires. By chance, some guest come to him who happen to be bhaktas, and he welcomes and serves them, just as he would have any other guest. So the Kanishta Bhakta observes the activities and behavior of the bhaktas and gets a chance to hear their discussions of spiritual topics based on the Shastra. In this way, he begins to develop great respect for the character of the bhaktas. After the, the joint pain, he becomes aware of his own defects. He begins to follow the behavior of the sadhus and to rectify his own behavior. Gradually, his defects of karma and jnana begin to fade, And as his heart becomes purified, he becomes increasingly free from extraneous desires. He studies the Shastra by gradually hearing narrations of Bhagwan's pastimes and the fundamental ontological truths about Bhagwan. His Sambandha Gyan becomes progressively firmer. So at this point, he becomes aware of his own defects. He begins to follow the behavior of the sadhus and to rectify his own behavior. Gradually, his defects of karma and jnana begin to fade, and as his heart becomes purified, he becomes increasingly free from extraneous desires. He studies the Shastra by regularly hearing narrations of Bhagavan's pastimes and the fundamental ontological truths about Bhagavan's. His Sambandha Gyan becomes progressively firmer as he accepts the transcendental nature of Bhagavan, Sri Nam, and the angas of bhakti such as hearing and chanting. When his when this incomplete jnana becomes complete, he attains the stage of a Madhyam Vaishnava. It is it is at this point that he truly begins to associate with bhaktas. He can then perceive that bhaktas are vastly superior to ordinary caste, and he can begin to regard them on the level of Guru. Nityanandas. Why is it that many Kanishta Bhaktas do not progress? Babaji. If the Kanishta Bhakta associates mainly with people who are inimical, his immature level of eligibility for bhakti quickly fades and his eligibility for karma and jnana becomes prominent. In other ways, in other causes, eligibility neither increases nor decreases, but remains exactly the same. Nityananda. When does that happen? Babaji. When he associates equally with bhaktas and inimical people, Nityanandas. Under what circumstances can his advancement be assured? Babaji. When his association with bhaktas becomes prominent and his association with the inimical becomes minimal, this advancement is rapid. Nityanandas. What is the nature of the Kanishta Adhikari's inclination towards sinful and pious activities? Babaji. In the preliminary stage, his inclination for sinful and pious activities will be like that of the karmis and jnanis. But as he progresses in bhakti, these propensities will be dispelled and his inclination to please Bhagavan will become prominent. Nityanandas, dear master, I understood the situation of Kanishta Adhikaris. Now kindly describe the primary symptoms of Madhyam Adhikari Bhaktas. The Madhyam Bhaktas has Ananya Bhakti towards Krishna. His friendship with the Bhaktas consists of four attitudes. He considers Bhaktas to be more dear than his very self, Atma Buddhi. He feels great possessiveness towards them, Samata Buddhi. He considers Bhaktas as worshipable, Ijja Buddhi. And he considers them to be a place of pilgrimage, Tirtha Buddhi. The Madhyam Bhaktas also bestows mercy on those who are ignorant of spiritual truth, and he neglects the inimical. These are the primary characteristics of the Madhyam Bhakta. When one develops Sambandha Gyan and practices Bhakti Sadhan, which is the means avideya, one attains the goal of prema, prayojan. This is the methodology of the Madhyam Bhaktas. It is generally observed that Madhyam Bhaktas perform Harinam, Kirtan and other such activities in the association of Bhaktas, free from any offense. Nityandas. What are the secondary symptoms of the Madhyam Bhakta? The secondary symptom of the Madhyam Bhakta is the way in which he lives his life. His life is completely surrendered to the will of Krishna and is favorable to Bhakti. Nityananda. Can he still commit sins or offenses? Babaji. Some tendency to commit sins or offenses may remain in the beginning stage, but gradually these will disappear. Whatever sins or offenses are still present at the beginning of the Madhyana stage are like chickpeas that are just about to be ground to a pulp. They are still seen as a small lumps, but within a few moments they'll be crushed and will cease to exist. Yukta Vairagya. Appropriate renunciation is the life and soul of the Madhyam Bhakta. Nityan Das. Does the Madhyamagari Bhakta have any trace of karma, jnana, or extraneous desires? Babaji. In the initial stage of a in the initial stages, a faint trace of these things may remain, but finally they are uprooted. Whatever vestiges of karma and jnana remain in the beginning of the madhyana stage occasionally make themselves visible, yet these gradually fade into oblivion. Nityanandas. Do such bhaktas even desire to live, or if so, why? Babaji. Actually, they have no desire to live or die or to attain liberation. They desire to live only to attain consummation of their bhajan. Nityanandas. But why don't they long for death? What happiness can come from remaining in this gross material body? When they die, will they not obtain their spiritual forms and identities by Krishna's mercy? They have no independent desires. All their desires are solely independent on Krishna's will. Nevertheless, they are firmly convinced that everything is happening by His will and that whatever happens is only because of His desire. They have therefore no need to aspire for anything independently. Then thus, I have understood the symptoms of the Madhyama Adhikari. Now please tell me about the secondary symptoms of the Uttam Adhikari. So symptoms also two types. Uttam and Mari is actually the lowest, the greatest and the smallest. Mm. Babaji, their secondary symptoms are their bodily activities. But even these cannot actually be viewed separately as secondary symptoms because they are so much under control of brain, which is beyond all influences of the um, march mode, material mode. Nityandas, Prabhu, there is no provision in Shastra for the Kanishtadhikaris to renounce household life, and Madhyamadhikaris may live either as householders or renunciants. Is it possible that some Uttamadhikaris may live as householders? Babaji, one's level of eligibility cannot be determined by whether one is one's level of eligibility cannot be determined whether one is a householder or a renunciant. The only criteria is one's advancement in bhakti. There is certainly no harm if an Uttamadhikari bhakta remains a householder. All the Grasta bhaktas of Vraja were Uttamadhikaris. Many Grasta bhaktas of our Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were Uttamadhikaris. Ramananda is the foremost example of this. Prabhu, if an Uttam Nityandas, Prabhu, if an Uttamadhikari bhakta is a grast and a Madhyamadhikari bhakta is in the renounced order, how should they behave towards each other? Babaji, the person who is less qualified should offer Dandot Pranam to the person who is more qualified. This stipulation is only for the benefit of the Madhyam Adhikari. Because Uttamadhikari. So here The person who is less qualified should offer Dandavat Pranam to the person who is more qualified. This stipulation is only for the benefit of the Madhyamadhikari. Because the Uttamadhikari Bhakta um, does not expect respect from anyone. In all living beings, he sees the presence of Bhagavan. Nityandas. Should one bring many Vaishnavas together and hold festivals for distributing Bhagavad Prasad? From the Babaji, from the spiritual point of view, there is no objection if many Vaishnavas gather together for some particular occasion and a Madhyam Adhikari Grastha Bhakta wants to honor them by distributing the Bhagavad Prasad. However, it is not good to make a pompous display of serving the Vaishnavas, for then this activity will become adulterated with the mode of passion. One should distribute prasad to the assembled Vaishnavas with, with great care and attention. This is one's duty. If one wishes to serve the Vaishnavas in this way, he should only invite pure Vaishnavas. Nityananda Das. A new caste has emerged in Baragachi, consisting of people who refer to themselves as the descendants of Vaishnavas. Kanishtarigari householders invite them and feed them in the name of Vaishnava Seva. How is this to be viewed? Babaji, have these descendants of Vaishnavas taken up Shuddha Bhakti? Nityananda Das. I don't see Shuddha Bhakti in any of them. They only call themselves Vaishnavas. Some of them wear gopins, loincloths. Babaji, I cannot say why this type of practice is in vogue. It should be done. It should not be done. I can only surmise that it is going on because Kanishta Vaishnavas have no ability to recognize who is the true Vaishnava. Nityandas. Do the descendants of Vaishnavas deserve any special regard? Babaji. Honor is due for those who are actual Himalayas. If the descendants of Vaishnavas are pure Vaishnavas, they should be honored. They should be honored in possession to their advancement in bhakti. Nityandas. What if the descendant of a Vaishnava is only a worldly man? Babaji. Then he should be considered as a worldly man and not as a Vaishnava. He should not be honored as a Vaishnava. One should always remember the instructions given by Sriman Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shikshashtak verse number 3. Tunadapi sunichena tarunapi seshnana amanina mandena kirtaniya sada hari. One can chant Shri Krishna Nam in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than uh, the tree. One should be devoid of all senses of false prestige and ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant Shri Harinam constantly. One should be free from pride and should offer appropriate respect to others. One should offer Vaishnavas the respect due to a Vaishnava, and he should offer those who are not Vaishnavas the respect that benefits any human being. If one does not offer respect to others, he does not acquire the necessary qualification to chant Srina. Nityandas. How can one be free from pride? Babaji. One should not proudly think, I am a Brahmana, I am wealthy, I am a learned scholar, I am a Vaishnava, or I have renounced family life. People may well offer themselves because one has such qualities, but one should not want to be honored by others list of such egoistic pride. Oh, one should always think oneself to be worthless, insignificant, destitute and lower than lower than completion. then does Bhakti Devi depend on humility and Nityanand and humility and compassion? No. Bhakti is completely independent. Bhakti is the personification of beauty and she is the supreme ornament. She does not depend on any other good quality. Humility and compassion are not separate qualities, but are included within Bhakti. I am a servant of Krishna. I am destitute. I have nothing. Krishna is my all in all. The Bhakti that is expressed in these words is itself humility, dainya. So, very important discussion going on here. So, we'll stop here today. We are stopping at the page number 189 and means almost we'll begin from page number 190. Hare Krishna. If you have any comments or questions, please ask. Panchakal Paturvescha Kripa Sindhya Purtanam Bhavane Vishnu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hadanas.
Which book you're reading from?
Actually, today I'm reading from Jaiva Dharma. I will send you that.
Oh,
Jaiva
I
Dharma
haven't.
is a very good book, and we should try to read this book regularly. So Gurudev
Yeah.
said that this book is the essence of all the Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, Ramayana, Mahabharata. And this is,
Mm,
if you want to read any book, just one book in your life, then you should read Jayavadharma. You'll be greatly benefited. It is such a
okay.
powerful book that if you read Jayavadharma, it solves the purpose of reading all books in the world.
Mm,
Means especially all the spiritual books in the world. It gives you the correct information about spiritual life and it doesn't misguide you. It is written by a great scholar, the Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He was a district magistrate in the British government. He was looking after the Jagannath Puri temple. So, in-depth discussion of who is Madhyamadikari, who is Kanishtadikari, who is Uttamadikari, all these things cannot see in any other book. So, it is very, very important to study this book very carefully. And that's why we have these regular Tuesday classes. Srila Gurudev
mm.
always told us to read Jayavadharma. And there are audios also available. Sripad Bhaktivedanta Tridandi Maharaj from England and Australia. Maharaj has recorded the audios. They are available on websites like archive.org and also on his own website, bvtridandi.com.
What
And
name?
one can listen to these audios in spare time
Yeah.
when you're traveling. You can download to your mobile application, and you can read in VLC player or even Telegram or WhatsApp can play the audios.
The link
Um,
to the link to get
yeah,
it, Maharaj. How?
I'll send to you. I'll send to you. You can listen to that. Maharaj, Bhaktivedanta Tirandi Maharaj is quite learned and he's good pronunciation because he's British only. So, so you can very nicely hear these Jaiva Dharma classes. Jaiva Dharma's reading is very important. Like audiobooks, audiobooks are getting very popular because not many people have time now to read books. But we
Mm,
can listen to the audios even when we are traveling, we are commuting. Though Jayavadharma is an important book. Srila Gurudev, he always advised us to read Jayavadharma. Because when I was in America in year 2000, that time they were sending out these chapters, Jayavadharma. And they had published only first part of Jayavadharma in America, then second part, and then all the parts came. So very wonderful book, Jayavadharma. Huh?
yeah, the
Yeah, yeah.
discipline is high. It make me feel scared and living in this part of the world.
Right, right. Uh,
The
right,
discipline is very, very high.
right.
Then who will you
Very good.
associate? Who will you associate with?
Yeah,
Uh,
right. Yeah, association is important. We associate with pure devotees. But when
mm,
association of pure devotees is also very difficult,
mm,
now it's easier because of Zoom and you can associate with Shipa Dandi Maharaj or
mm,
Shri Puji. Like pure Vaishnava, like them, we can associate with them. We are very fortunate. And when such association is not available, then one should take the association of Bhaktivinoda Thakur by reading the book like Jaiva Dharma. And we should pray to Bhaktivinoda Thakur that please manifest before me. I am reading this book. Actually, this book is not different from you. So I think um, it should manifest in my heart and make me understand this particular book. So they asked once a question to Srila Gurudev that many of the books are quite difficult to understand. Then Gurudev said, you don't worry about it. You distribute my books. There is Krishna sitting in the heart of all living entities. And that Lord Sri Krishna will make them understand. Paramatma will make them understand my books. If they even touch my books, they will get sukruti. They will get immense sukruti. And it happens actually. In the beginning also, I could not understand. Once Srila Gurudev told me to translate Brihad Bhagavatam, I could not understand much what is written in Brihad Bhagavatam. Forget about translating. I could not understand Hindi itself. It was so difficult for me in the beginning. But, Gurudev's mercy is also upon us. So, Naivopayanti avachitim kaves tavesha brahma vishapi krutam madas paranta. Yuantar bhais tanuvritam ashubham vidunvan acharya chaitya vapusham swagatim vedakti. Because Srila Gurudev is sitting in our heart and Paramatma is also sitting in our heart. So they will reveal to us these secrets. Even if you don't understand, automatically when we render service to Guru and Vaishnavas, automatically this knowledge will manifest in the heart. But otherwise, by our own effort, we cannot understand the glories of Krishna, the glories of Ram Nam, Krishna Nam, Bhagavad Nam. But Atah Shri Krishna Namarina Bhavet Grajyam Indriye Sevan Mukhe Jivvado Swayameva Swaratyada. The name, form, qualities, and pastimes of Sri Krishna cannot be understood by one's own effort. So there are two ways to get knowledge. One is the ascending process and one is the descending process. So we have to see, we cannot get knowledge by ascending process. The modern scientists are actually trying to get the knowledge by ascending process. They are trying to reach the moon ascending process. They are trying to go to the sun planet, Mars planet ascending process. But we get information from Srimad Bhagavatam and the books in pursuance of Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we receive that knowledge in succession, that knowledge is more accurate. This book will discuss that evidence may be three types of evidence. Pratyaksha means your sense perception, that is one type of evidence. Anuman, some inference. And there may also be evidence is the Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman is the sound vibration. So when we give oral reception to the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhuri Kadambini, then that is Shabda Praman. There is no need to do experimentation, speculation. We can simply trust what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is such a great authority. Understand? So when we obviously we closely follow the words of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Pragat Keshav Goswami Maharaj, and Srila Gurudev also, and Sripad Dandi Maharaj also. But obviously, if you are disciple of Sripad Dandi Maharaj, you are closest to Sripad Dandi Maharaj. So you have to understand from him exactly what is the interpretation what Bhaktivinoda Thakur said. Because when doubt comes, we should ask our immediate Gurudev that what is the exact meaning of this particular statement by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. That's why living Guru is required. Like Srila Gurudev always used to ask questions to his Gurudev. He used to ask so many questions, not only to his Gurudev, but he also used to ask the questions to the disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. He has to ask so many questions till they are tired. And Srila Gurudev acquired so much knowledge by asking questions. So it is very important to ask questions also. Just like Srimad Bhagavatam would not have been revealed if Sutta Goswami and would not have been questioned by Shavana and other sages, 88,000 sages. Parikshit Maharaj questioned Shukdev Goswami. And as a result, wonderful Bhagavatam manifested. Also, Arjuna questioned Krishna. And then some questions he asked to Krishna, and the result Bhagavad Gita manifested. So this particular book also you'll see that it is question answer book, but it is not fiction. It is not a segment of his imagination. Understand? This is a history. As much as Srimad Bhagavatam is the Samadhi Bhasha, the language of trance of Vyasadeva, this particular book was manifest from the trance of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. When he was chanting, when he went into trance, what he saw happening in some day of Brahma, this Leela has taken place, which he has written down. If it is not happened here 500 years ago, it must have happened in some other day of Brahma, in some other Brahmanda. Somewhere this, but it is not imagination. Jayavadharma is not imagination. These characters which are mentioned, Anantadas Babaji, and then also Vaishnadas Babaji, Nityananda Das, Lahiri Mahasaya, Chintamani, Krishna Chudamani, Bhajanath, Vijay Kumar, Raghunath Das Babaji Maharaj, they are not imagination. Understand? They are real. They are real. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur has mercifully saw what is happening and he wrote it down. So Jayavadharma, if you don't study, then one cannot get Shuddha Bhakti. That is it. It is period. Those who don't study Jayavadharma cannot get Shuddha Bhakti. This is the opinion of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. That's why Srila Gurudev, he always used to ask, especially if anyone would tell him, I want to take sannyas, then Gurudev used to tell, please study Jayavadharma. Srila Bhakti Vallabh Tirtha Goswami Maharaj also. When he had doubts, he approached Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhava Goswami Maharaj. I have many doubts in Bhakti line. What should I do? Then Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhava Goswami Maharaj told him that, I think that time his name was Krishna Vallabh Brahmachari. That he said, Krishna Vallabh ji, you should study Jayavadharma. And even to me also personally, he had told to study Jayavadharma. And wonderful chapters. Nam Tattva is so nicely described. Means someone will take a wonderful garland of pearls and rubies and diamonds and string them, and you have to just wear it. So like that, these all secrets have been strung together. There are certain books, their authenticity you don't have to worry about. Like one such book is Gaudiya Kanthar. Gaudiya Kanthar was compiled by one disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. His name was Shaitendriya Bhakti Gunakar. That book is self-radiant. It is self-radiant like the sun planet. You can simply trust it and remember the verses in that book. Like Jayavadharma is also like that. But again, Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote this book, but who published it? Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada published it. If Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada would not have come, then all these books would have been eaten by termites. They would have been lost to the mankind. So all the credit goes to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada published this Bengali version of Jayavadharma, and then referring to that version, Srila Gurudev did not know Hindi, did not know Bengali so well. But what Srila Gurudev did, just to translate Jayavadharma, he diligently studied the Bengali language. And he achieved a great degree of proficiency in Bengali language. And then he translated this book. Actually this book is available in Telugu language. I am sitting in Tirupati. In Tirupati, this book is available in Andhra Pradesh. I was surprised. How come this book is available? And then my friend Suresh Prabhu, he told me that actually the name of your Gurudev comes in this book, in this translation. I said, how come my Gurudev's name comes in this book? It is a Telugu book. He said, the translator, the person who translated this book from Bengali to Telugu, he said that many times I could not understand the difficult language of the Jayavadharma. And I had many doubts. And whenever doubts arose, I referred to the Gurudev's Hindi translation of Om Vishnu Shisham and Bhakti Narayan Goswami Maharaj translation. I referred. He has mentioned a special thank for Gurudev. So you can imagine how much hard work Srila Gurudev put. And in the beginning, it was not published in the book form. It was published serially as articles in Bhagavad Patrika, the Hindi magazine of Sri Keshaji Gaudiya Math. Later on, it was published in the book form. Uh, and the third part of it is quite esoteric. And only when we have studied the first two parts, only when we have studied the first two parts, we are supposed to study the third part. Because the third part describes rasa vichar. So now what we are doing is actually creating a foundation for um, having the pinnacle of rasa. But uh, how can we build a building or have a topmost um, pinnacle on it unless we have built a strong, solid foundation? And this is what is happening now. We are actually trying to understand what type of Vaishnavas are there, where we stand. Parishtadikaris, they have so much respect for the deity. Archayam hare yojana shraddayate natat bhakteshu channeshu sabhakta prakruta smrta. Mainly Kanishthadikari is called Prakrut Bhakta. He appears like a devotee, but he's a neophyte devotee because he only has faith in a deity. But you see, many religions don't even have faith in the deity. Uh, they don't believe in the deity. So how fortunate is Kanishthadikari? At least he has faith in the deity. But then Madhyamadikari goes further. Madhyamadikari has respect for the Vaishnavas. He wants to serve the Vaishnavas. Understand? So Ishwareshu Adineshu Balisheshu Dvisastucha Prema Maitri Krupapeksha Yakaroti sa Madhyama. Madhyamadikari knows how to deal with others. He knows he has so much love and affection for Bhagavan. And he is very compassionate to the ignorant persons. He explains to them Ishwar Tattva, Ekadashi Tattva, like Sripad Dandi Maharaj. Always explaining to neophyte devotees what is Nam Tattva, Ekadashi Tattva. Like today I called Sripad Dandi Maharaj that a question come to me. Some people approach me that, oh, there is one 5-year-old boy, he is unable to speak, although he has become 5-year-old. So some godbrother of mine asked me that, such boy is there and how he'll be able to speak. Then actually I asked Sripad Dandi Maharaj. Then Sripad Dandi Maharaj told me that he had a similar experience. He had a similar experience, and one boy was unable to speak, although he had become 5-year-old. And I told his parents that every day 1 hour to chant next to the boy. So that is what they did. 1 hour they sat next to the boy and helped him chant Hare Krishna mantra. In the beginning you say like this, but slowly he picked up the Hare Krishna mantra, and slowly he started talking. And now he actually gives classes on Bhagavatam, sitting on Vyasasana, that boy, who could not speak a word till he was 5-year-old. So Maharaj said that tell the parents to do Ekadashi and always chant 1 hour next to the child. Like I remember once one small boy came to join the mud. He could not utter Hare Krishna mantra. Maharaj taught him for months and months, sat next to him every morning and make him chant. Finally, that boy was able to chant Hare Krishna mantra. So how much effort Maharaj put? Because that is the thing, that is compassion, understand. We may believe, okay, we take this medicine, homeopathy medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, I will take allopathy medicine. But the topmost medicine we cannot ignore. Harinam. So all the scriptures tell us this. That idam shariram parinama peshalam patanti avashyam shatashanti jarjaram kim aushadam puchhasi mooda durmate niramanam krishna rasayanam viva. That this body will fall one day. So many types of diseases. Understand? Arthritis, mother arthritis, so many problems will come. Body will be attacked with so many diseases. What medicine you are on? Oh, I am giving you a very high class medicine, and that is very sweet also. Most of the medicines are very bitter, and they give you a sense of like a feeling of vomiting. Even to look at them is actually painful. But the medicine I am giving is very sweet. Madhura Madhura Metan Mangalam Mangalana Sakala Nigamavali Satfalam Chit Swarupam Sakuradevi Parigitam Shraddaya Hedayava Dhruvarnara Matram Tare Krishnama. Even with faith or without faith also, if someone will utter the sweet names of Krishna, oh, one will be free from all miseries, all diseases. That's why this Nama Sankirtan. The Jayavadharma talks about the glories of Nama Sankirtan. So we have to come to this stage of at least Madhyamadhyana by taking Diksha from a high class guru. He Gopalak, he Krupa Jalanide, he Sindhu Kanya Pate, he Kamsanta, he Gajendra Karuna, Pari he Madhava. हे रामानुज हे जगत्रय गुरो हे पुंडरीकाक्ष मां हे गोपी जननाथ परम जानामि न त्वां विना भाण्डिरेश शिखंड मंडल वर श्रीखंड लिप्तांग हे वृंदारण्य पुरंदर स्फुरद मंदेन्दीवर श्यामध कालिंदी नंद नंदन परानंदर विंदेक्षणा Shri Govinda Mukunda Sundara Tanu Mam Deenanandaya. This is Nama Sankirtan. Nama Sankirtan is the easiest process. Easiest process. And that's why it has been told, engage in this Nama Sankirtan. But we are very fortunate. We associate with very great Mahabhagavat, like Srila Gurudev, our Gurudev, Sripad Bhaktidan Dandi Maharaj, Srimad Aniruddha Das Prabhuji Maharaj. So all these great Vaishnavas, they are so expert in bhakti, and they have, they cannot, they are infallible. They are infallible from their situation. Their faith is extremely strong, resolute faith they have in Krishna, and they give us the highest siddhanta, and very easy. It's not difficult. Understand? Other processes I see very very difficult. But this process of bhakti is also is easy process. And we thank Krishna for that. Understand? By what, for example, Shiva Dandi Maharaj, you see that every single activity he does, you can learn something. Like today some person came to me, Maharaj, I have thyroid, I have this problem, I have that problem, I have joint pain, back pain, then brain problem, all problems come. But Shiva Dandi Maharaj has trained us. He has trained his disciples and all devotees. What are the ways? What are the ways to cure many diseases? And so, he told me about, Dandi Maharaj only told me, Lakshmi Taru, Simruba teas. You take decoction of that for those who are having cancer, ideal medicine for cancer. And also for so many elements, he knows so many medicines, understand. And also, like Murari Gupta. Murari Gupta was a doctor. Murari Gupta was a physician. But when patients used to come to him, he not only used to give them medicines, but also used to cure the disease of repeated birth and death by telling them about the glories of Krishna. What is the meaning of the word Murari Gupta? Murari means Krishna, the enemy of Mura demon. And that Murari is staying in a hidden manner in his heart, so it's Murari Gupta. Gupta means hidden manner. Understand? So Murari Gupta used to cure both this. So anyone would come to our Gurudev with any problems, or Shiva Dandi Maharaj, or Shri Aniruddha Prabhuji, they always tell about Harinam. Harinam. Even Srila Bhaktivedanta Trivikram Goswami Maharaj also. He was expert in homeopathy. He used to give homeopathy medicines also to those who are suffering. That is Vaishnava Seva used to do. But he always used to stress on the Harinam. Once he was telling that, yes, there are so many names of Krishna, I know that. But there are certain names which only Yashoda can utter. There are certain names which only Radharani can utter. There are certain names which only Sakhas can utter. But there is one name which Radharani can utter, Gopis can utter, Yashoda can utter, Nanda Maharaj can utter, Vaikuntavasis can utter, and that is Hare Krishna mantra. For example, um, Radhanath, this name is highest name, very high class name. But can Mother Yashoda utter this name Radhanath? She may not find it so palatable. It may be a little different from her rasa. Understand? Radhanath or Gopinath. But Hare Krishna mantra, Yashoda can easily utter that. Any devotee in any rasa can utter Hare Krishna mantra. So like this. So this mantram, Prabhu kahe kahilama ehi mahamantra. Yaha japa kiya sabe kariya nirbandha. Yaha ite sarva siddhi haibe sabar. Sarva kshana balaite vidhi nahi. There is no hard and fast rule for chanting this holy name. But for that we have to come to this madhyam adhikar. Ishwareshu tadineshu balisheshu disasucha. There are some people who are actually very envious of Vaishnavas, and those are envious of even Thakurji. Then what madhyam adhikari will do? He will ignore them. Upeksha. That is also mercy. Because if you are ignoring the those who are antagonistic, opposed to Vaishnavas, then you are actually showing them mercy. Because by ignoring them, they don't get a chance to commit more offenses. Because if they keep on committing offenses to Vaishnavas, they will go to even deeper hell. Understand? So that's why Madhyavadikari's job is to ignore those who are envious to Vaishnavas. If someone is criticizing our Gurudev, then we should not stay there. We should immediately close our ears and run away from there. No criticism of Guru Varga, Guru Parampara should enter our ears. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj never tolerated criticism of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or anyone. If anyone would write any article in a magazine criticizing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Sikh Swamis or Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, he would immediately tell Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj, who was like his Ganesh. Like Vyasadeva used to tell Ganesh to write, he used to tell Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj, oh, Sajjan, Santosh, please bring my pen and paper. Immediately Santosh, Prabhu used to bring the pen and paper and he used to explain to them, write this. And the narration of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj was also without any mistake. And Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj also used to note down, it was also without mistake. So as soon as written down, even in the middle of Parikrama, 10,000 devotees are in front of them. He used to narrate an article for Bhagavad Patrika, Gaudiya Patrika. He used to publish this. What he spoke was like thunderbolt. Thunderbolt. He never tolerated criticism of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So we should also be very bold. We should not tolerate criticism of Vaishnava. That's why you should, if someone will try to mislead you, then you have to know Jaiva Dharma. If you don't know Jaiva Dharma, you will not be able to defend our Guru Parampara properly. That's why it is told. Siddhanta boliya chitte na karalasa yaite Krishna lage sudruda manasa. When you discuss Siddhanta, don't be lazy. Don't sleep. Because Siddhanta will make you very strong. Otherwise, someone will come and mislead you. Someone will mislead you. Understand? There are a lot of people who try to mislead others. So we should not be misled by them. But rather, we should try to guide people properly. And Uttama Vaishnava is like that. Uttama Vaishnava is that Sthavara Jangama dekhe na dekhe Tara Murti Sarvatra Nija Ishta Deva Spurti. Manu sees is worshipable Lord Sri Krishna everywhere. Oh, that is Uttam Vaishnava. Understand? Is Uttam Vaishnava. So Uttam Vaishnava is like Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. He was dancing in front of Jagannath, and one thief came and is trying to steal the pocket. Pickpocket came and is trying to steal the money from the bag of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. And one brahmachari told him, Maharaj, someone is stealing your money. Maharaj said, don't worry about it. Money should go, no harm. But this moment will not come. I am relishing the moods what Mahaprabhu relished in front of Jagannath's cart. I am trying to dive into those ocean of deep moods of Mahaprabhu. And that time, why you are disturbing me? If the thief wants money, let him take the money. But this moment will not come even if I spend billions of dollars. So that's why let the money go. Such a Mahabhagavat he was. Understand? Param Gurudev, our Gurudev, Shripa Dandi Maharaj, Shishimad, Anil Prabhuji, they are Mahabhagavats. They never gave importance so much to money, but rather they always gave importance to Harina. Hmm. So that's why this book teaches us the glories of the Harina. Kim Karishya Sankhya. Yesterday we discussed Sankhya Yoga of Kapil. Kim Karishya Sankhya, Kim Yogena Naranayaka, Muktim Ichasi Rajendra, Kuru Govinda Kirtana. What will you do by the diligent study of Sankhya Yoga? If you want liberation in Kali Yuga, chant the name of Govinda. That is what the gopis were doing. Kwachi prabhate dadi purna patre nikshipya mantham yuvati mukundam alokya ganam vividham karoti govinda damodara madhaveti govinda damodara madhaveti govinda damodara madhaveti. So this is the sweetest names, Govinda Damodar Madhaveti. Anyone in any condition, you can chant these names. Like Draupadi, what she did. She was Ekavastra, wearing only one cloth. She was Rajaswala, she was in menstruation. She was very feeble. Dushasan came inside the female quarters and dragging her away out. What would she do? She simply chanted, Govinda Damodar Madhaveti. Govinda Damodara Madhaveti. These are the sweet names. That's why our tongue, like Srila Bhaktigan Bharati Maharaj also was telling, that why we glorify Vaishnavas, that our tongue has uh, many desires. Our tongue wants to gossip, criticize others. Our tongue wants to relish non-prasad items, very palatable foodstuffs. The tongue is the source of all problems. But when we glorify the teachings of our acharyas, read Jaiva Dharma by our tongue, read Chaitanya Charitamrita, read Chaitanya Bhagavad, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, these exalted books, then our tongue is purified. And there is also glorification of many Vaishnavas. When we glorify the Vaishnavas, we receive their mercy. So that's why this tongue is Belungal Thakur principle is tongue. Oh my tongue, always chant the names of Krishna. We have to pray to our tongue. Tvame vayache mama dehi jivve samagate dandadhare krutante vaktavyame tan madhuram subhaktya govinda damodara madhaveti. Tvame vayache mama dehi jivve samagate dandadhare krutante. When Yamadutas will come to grab my subtle body, take out of my gross body, the subtle body and the soul, and try to punish my subtle body by torturing here and there in Vaitarani river, the river between the Earth planet and the planet of Pluto. On the way to the planet of Pluto, Narakaloka, Adholoka, there's a river of urine, pus, stool, very bad river. Oh, that time my tongue, don't worry. Chant the name Govinda Damodar Madhaveti. Hearing the name of Govinda Damodar Madhav, Yamadutas will immediately release a simple person. So that is the power of the holy name. Essence of all the Vedas. Chaturunam Vedanam Mrutavidamakrishya Chaturvyadvarana Sputamagati Narayana Padam Tadedat Gayanto Emanishamaatmana Maduna Unimo Janimo Nahari Paritoshaya Kimabi. The essence of the four Vedas is stored in these four syllables. Narayana. Like Ajamil, he chanted these names Narayan, he was purified. So knowingly, unknowingly, you chant these names. What will happen? When you chant the names of Krishna, oh, all your scenes will start trembling. Vepante mitani moha mahima sammohama lambate satankam nakaranjam kateti Chitragupta Kruti Sanandam Madhuparka Samrata Vidau Karotyattamam Vaktam Nam Nitaveshwara Vilashate Makimanyat Param. Oh, Yavaraj will also strike off all the sins he has put in your account. Brahma and other demigods will worship you. You chant his names. You will transcend this material world and go to Golok Vrindavan. This is the power of the holy name. So Gurudev has given us these names, and we should always make sure that we chant his names, read the books, attend the classes, have full faith in this process. There are so many devotees in the past, by taking shelter of the holy name, went to the spiritual world. It's a time-proven path. It cannot be otherwise. Anyone, whether it knows some Siddhanta or doesn't know some Siddhanta, with faith or without faith, also one will chant the name of Krishna, Rama. He'll become pure he'll become purified of all his sins. Understand? So that's why have complete faith. Have complete faith in the names of Krishna, in Jaiva Dharma. Now, Jaiva Dharma's chapter number 22 gives so much information about the Naam. And then also, Bhagavata Amrita also talks about so much about it. There is no shortage of books. There is no shortage of books. There are so many books are available. And we can study books. And we can advance bhakti. And also, if this part learned in the classes, explain to others also. You should tell them what you learned and avoid offenses at any cost. Hare Manchakal Patrapeshtas in the Bevacha Paridanam Pavane Purnama Hare Bol. Hare Krishna. Tell us.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranams, thank you so much. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandavat Pranams, thank you for attending. Any more questions, comments, requests, dear devotees? Okay, I don't think there's any more questions, comments, or requests. Thank you, Maharaj, for attending. Thank you, dear devotees. So we do Jai Diwani. Anga Mohan Prabhu, please. Thank you.
श्री गुरु गौरंग गंधर्व गिरिधारी राधा विनोद बिहारी जी की जय। ओम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्र श्रीमद् भक्ति विष्णु गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। ओम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्र श्रीमद् भक्ति नंदी गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट विष्णुपाद स्तोत्र श्रीमद् भक्ति नारायण गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट विष्णुपाद स्तोत्र श्रीमद् भक्ति वामन गोस्वामी महाराज के जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट विष्णुपाद स्तोत्र श्री श्रीमद् भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज के जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट विष्णुपाद स्तोत्र श्री श्रीमद् भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज के जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिशिला भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद के जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट परम भगवत प्रवार श्री श्री गौर किशोरदास बाबा जी महाराज के जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट श्री श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्त ठाकुर की जय। नितिल प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सर्वभौम श्री श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबा जी महाराज की जय। श्री गौदेव वेदांत आचार्य श्री श्री बलदेव विद्याभूषण प्रभु की जय। श्री विश्वनाथ चक्री ठाकुर की जय। श्री नौटंक श्रीनिवास श्यामन प्रभु त्राय की जय। श्री कृष्ण कविराज गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्री रूप सनातन बात गुना जी गोपाल बादास गुना सर गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामदास श्री गौर प्रसाद जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से को श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वसाती गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री अंतरद्वीप मायापुर सीमांतद्वीप गौतमद्वीप मध्यद्वीप कोलद्वीप ऋतुद्वीप जानद्वीप मोदद्वीप रुद्रद्वीप पद्मकाशी नवद्वीप धाम की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपाल गोपी गोवर्धन द्वादश वनत्मकार श्री व्रजमंडल की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गंगा यमुना तुलसी भक्ति देवी की जय। श्रीमती वृंद देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमास योगमाया की जय। श्री गोपीश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा सुदर्शन चक्र जीव की जय। क्षेत्र मंदिर की जय। सर्व विघ्न विनाशकारी श्री नरसिंह देव की जय। भक्त प्रभात श्री प्रहलाद महाराज के चार धाम की जय। चार संप्रदाय की जय। चार चार की जय। अकर महाराज श्री चैतन्य मात की जय। श्री केशव जी गौरिया मात और तत्सक मात समो की जय। ग्रंथ राज श्रीमद भागवत की जय। धाम की जय। शरनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। सामगात भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री नित्य गौर प्रेम नन हरि हरि बोल।
Shri Hanuman Prabhuji ki jai, समस्त वैष्णव की जय।
Shipad Bhakti
Dandavad
Vedanta
Pranam.
Maharaj.
धन्यवाद। Thank you. Hare, thank you, Mr. Thank
Krishna
you.
Maharaj, thank
Hare.
you. Yasya Kripa Sindhi
Hare.
Chitanam Prabhu Vaishnavi Namo Vaishnavi.
Hare.
Hare Krishna, thank you much. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining, and we'll
Hare.
see you all on Thursday with Shripad Bhaktivedanta Dandi Maharaj for question and answers. So any devotees have any questions, please forward it to us, or forward it to me, and then we can make a platform for Gurudev which he can read out from. So thank you, dear devotees. Thank you much for attending today, and we'll see you all on Thursday. Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare.